Part 1, The Boy Who Challenged an Empire. The story of Alexander does not begin with a battlefield, but with a boy standing before a massive, untamed horse. The horse reared, eyes wild, refusing every rider. The Macedonian nobles laughed. The boy's father, King Philip II, was ready to give up. But young Alexander stepped forward. "He's afraid of his own shadow," the boy whispered. Slowly, confidently, he turned the horse toward the sun so its shadow no longer frightened it. And with a gentle touch, Alexander mounted him. The horse obeyed. The nobles gasped. King Philip looked at his son with pride and said, "My boy, you must find a kingdom big enough for your ambitions. Macedonia is too small for you." The horse became Bucephalus, Alexander's lifelong companion, the first symbol of destiny. The world before the storm. To the east lay the greatest empire humanity had ever seen, Persia. Stretching from Egypt to India, ruled by King Darius III, it was wealthy, ancient, and seemingly unstoppable. But beneath its gold and grandeur, Persia was cracked by rebellion, corruption, and disunity. Darius ruled a kingdom of many languages, faiths, and rivalries, an empire too large to truly hold. To the west stood Macedonia, a rising power under King Philip. Philip had united the Greek city-states, formed an unbeatable army, and dreamed of invading Persia. But before he could begin, he was assassinated. The dream passed to his 20-year-old son, Alexander. Many doubted him. A boy king. Too young, too reckless, too inexperienced. But the world was about to learn otherwise. The making of a conqueror. Alexander was not an ordinary ruler. He had been tutored by Aristotle, who filled his mind with philosophy, science, and stories of heroes like Achilles. Alexander idolized those legends, but he wanted to surpass them. His friends said he slept with a dagger and a copy of the Iliad under his pillow. Once crowned king, he acted fast. He crushed rebellions. Part 2, Issus, Gaugamela, and the Fall of a Giant. The battlefield of Issus lay between mountains and sea, a narrow pass where Darius' giant army could not spread out. Alexander's advantage. The Persians glittered in gold and armor, their banners rippled like dragons in the wind. At the center sat Darius in his chariot, surrounded by elite guards. Alexander stood opposite, calm, focused. When the battle started, the Macedonian phalanx smashed into the Persian left. The ground trembled under horses, shields, and 1,000 screams. Alexander saw his moment. He angled his cavalry into a diagonal wedge, the famous hammer strike, and charged straight at Darius. The king panicked. Before Alexander's spear could reach him, Darius turned and fled, abandoning his mother, wife, and children. The Persian army collapsed. Alexander had defeated the King of Kings. But Darius escaped. A king without a kingdom. Alexander captured Darius' family, but treated them with respect and compassion. His enemies admired him. His allies trusted him. His men adored him. And still, he pressed forward. He besieged Tyre for 7 brutal months by building a causeway into the sea. He burned Gaza after fierce resistance. He entered Egypt as a liberator, not a conqueror, and founded Alexandria, a city that would shape the ancient world. At the Oracle of Siwa, priests greeted him as the son of Ammonius, linking him to gods. Alexander did not deny it. Egypt crowned him pharaoh. The final showdown, Gaugamela. Darius gathered one final, colossal army, perhaps the largest ever seen in the ancient world. Chariots with blades, war elephants, and soldiers stretching beyond the horizon. He chose the plains of Gaugamela, wide, flat, perfect for Persian chariots. Alexander studied the field. "What is prepared against us," he said, "is prepared for us." When dawn broke, the two greatest armies of the ancient world faced each other. The Persians roared. The Macedonian. Part 3, The Death of Darius, the Rise of a Legend. Darius fled east with a small group of loyalists and traitors. Among those traitors was Bessus, a satrap hungry for power. Seeing the empire crumble, Bessus betrayed his king. He stabbed Darius and left him dying in a cart, abandoned on the roadside. When Alexander reached him, Darius was still alive, barely. He thanked Alexander for honoring his family. He asked him to protect Persia. And with that, the last king of kings breathed his final breath. Alexander covered him with his royal cloak. He vowed to hunt down Bessus, and did, executing him for treason. With Darius' death, Persia became Alexander's. He adopted Persian dress, customs, and ceremonies. Some Macedonians disliked it, but Alexander believed he could merge East and West into one world. He married Roxana, a Persian noblewoman. He appointed Persians as generals. He encouraged his soldiers to take Persian wives. He built cities, roads, markets, not as a destroyer, but as a visionary. The edge of the world. Still, he marched on, into Afghanistan, Central Asia, and finally India. He fought warlords, scaled mountains, survived ambushes, and crossed deserts. At the Battle of Hydaspes, he faced King Porus, who fought with mighty war elephants. The battle was brutal, but Alexander admired Porus. When asked how he wished to be treated, the king replied, "Like a king." Alexander spared him and returned his lands, even giving him more territory. But his soldiers had reached their limit. After years of war, they refused to go further. Alexander, heartbroken, turned back. Returning through the Gedrosian desert cost thousands of lives. But he made it to Babylon, now the capital of his enormous empire. The end of a titan. At 32 years old, Alexander fell ill, perhaps fever, exhaustion, poisoning, or complications from old wounds. For days, he drifted between life and death. His generals asked, "To whom do you leave your empire?" Alexander whispered, "To the strongest." With that, the conqueror of the world, the man who never lost a battle, the king who united continents, closed his eyes forever. His empire immediately fractured into states ruled by his generals, the Diadochi. But his influence never faded. Greek culture spread across Asia. Cities he founded thrived for centuries. The world became more connected, more curious, more ambitious. Alexander the Great was gone, but the world he reshaped was only beginning.